Hi, I'm John Carpenter, and you will see me in the Thing expanded documentary.
U.S. number 31 calling McMurdo. Urgent.
Come in. Over.
Did you notice anything strange about the dog? Anything at all?
Strange? No.
What the hell happened here?
Looks like something buried under the ice.
What we're talking about here is an organism that imitates other life forms.
Somebody in this camp ain't what he appears to be.
Bennings was right there, Mac. I swear to God it had a hold of him.
It could have imitated 1 million life forms on 1 million planets. There was one of those things out there trying to imitate him, Gary. We gotta burn the rest of them.
Nobody trusts anybody now.
So how do we know who's human?
There's some kind of test, Doc?
We're gonna draw a little bit of everybody's blood.
You ain't tying me up.
Then I'll have to kill you, child.
You gotta be kidding.
We gotta bring this whole place right down into the ice. We're not getting out of here alive. But neither's that thing.
I'm most proud of this movie. I wouldn't change a frame of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
We're gonna get a little bit crazy, wild and maybe even vulgar, if you please. It's after dark and we're gonna light it up. Got some fun in store for you, no tease. It's time for Midnight Sesh. After dark, a little naughty, will hopefully make you chuckle, but we ain't trying to hurt nobody, so get ready quick on the double, cause it's time for Midnight Sesh. After dark.
Greetings, everybody! The Acolyte has been canceled. DeMayo speaks out and a whole lot more. Welcome to the program. It is Tuesday night. Welcome to your favorite show on the internet. I am Tom Connors. We have with us a panel of distinguished gentlemen. And if you mean distinguished by smell, I'm sure you can.
I bathe occasionally.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Once in a while, I hear.
Yes, of course. We have with us 32 flavors of Nick Weiser. You can only imagine what those smell like.
Oh, well, I'm a man of many smells. Hello, Tom. Hello, Scribe. Hello, Price, CC. Yeah, I am curious to see where this DeMayo story goes now. I hope this is gonna be one of those stories where it's the gift that keeps on giving, because I could use a good story like that right now. And of course, that one show that everyone has talked about being Gonzo. I mean, that's about as shocking as finding out Peter Parker's Spider-Man. So let's have fun talking about it. Hello, chat, and hello, wrenches.
Yes, indeed. DeMayo, to quote a movie we'll be talking about later, got to see him pictures now, don't I?
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to see it yet?
I got to watch the theatrical cut. I didn't get to watch the director's cut. I did not have the extra time to watch the director's cut, but I did get a full, very well remembered viewing of the theatrical cut. I was in deep attention, deep. Like arm and all, chopped off arm and all. That's how much I was like No, in.
Oh, I love that movie. Love it. Are you calling me a liar? I ain't said you was a liar yet. Anyway, CC Karaoke in the house. How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm actually kind of impressed. That's an awesome promotion you got going on there with the thing. I did not expect that.
Yes, indeed. Actually, I just dropped the link in the chat. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to pin that. So if you want to help us out here at the channel, we get a little bit of kickback from that if you ordered through that link. So do that, and we appreciate it. We also have with us Scribe Light. How you doing, Scribbles?
Doing all right. And good evening, everybody. Hope you're all having a excellent Tuesday. And hope you're ready for talking about nerdy stuff with nerdy people. There you go.
Yeah, you're in the right place for that. That's true. And speaking of nerdy people, one of the best I know, Price of Reason.
I prefer, I like being sort of against the grain nerd. If that makes sense.
Sir, that's what makes you a nerd.
I guess you're right.
Nerds were like the original anti-establishment, anti-whatever. Like they're punk, right? They're the original punks.
That's
right, but I think for years I steered away. Yeah, you know, maybe I didn't embrace it. I thought to myself, I can present myself as normal. If that makes any sense.
Then you learned
I was
there
the
is
worst
no
of
such
both
thing.
worlds. I was a geek nerd. I mean, I guess I don't really think I qualify for nerd, but as far as being obsessed with comics and a metalhead, it was just like, wow. I was like, wow, this is like the ultimate, like only people who understand niche things will be able to understand me. Otherwise,
Nick,
everything
you
I
are
say
the
will
closest thing to a real life Michelangelo there is.
dude. Michelangelo, like, I feel like if
It's like you say pizza and he's like, where?
That's true, dude. I actually just had a slice a few minutes ago, actually.
Told you.
Not joking either. There's this really good Screaming Sicilian that they added with cheese stuffed crust, and it's really good.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, that one I have to try. I think I've only tried the Screaming Sicilian once.
Well, they got like the thin crust, almost like the Milwaukee paper thin, but then they had their the cheese stuffed crust, and that one's just like, that's the dream, man.
Okay, welcome to Midnight Pizza After Dark.
Midnight
everyone.
Pizza After Dark. That's right.
I still need to have a pizza with Tom one day. One day.
We did eat at a bar. We didn't eat at.
We did.
Like
we
bar
did.
grill,
We got started.
It was a nice place, though.
Yeah, we broke the ice. It's a good start.
It's our
But
first
now
date.
we got to go bigger.
We got to get right back to where we started from. Yeah, no, we met up down in Milwaukee for the fan event. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, no. So the big news of the day, kids, is the Acolyte, of course, and DeMayo, and we got some Friday the 13th news
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So we'll see what we get to today. But hopefully you guys caught the music video I finally got to drop of the Power of One.
The power of one.
You know,
The power of two. The power of many. Scissor me timber, sexy space witch, let's screw.
so yeah, I'm working on the sequel now. Much more peppier, see? They're angry.
We try and acolyte die. We know there are more of us.
Oh my God. I was very grateful that one of my photoshops ended up being the album cover for the first.
It is.
No season 2. Now
Both of them
Leslie
will
doesn't
be.
know what to do. Man, all these internet critics are so mean. Maybe we can get help from Daddy Weinstein. We were review and all the racist men wouldn't let us have no fun. So now the acolyte is done.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, so that'll be coming.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah. Sorry. Dealing with a possible guest later that may be showing up. I'm hoping so. Fingers crossed. We'll see if that happens. Maybe. But so yeah, let's see what you guys are talking about there in the chat. I've seen a few regulars and a few faces we haven't seen in a while. I noticed Larry and Snorta Poopus Two faces I haven't seen in a bit. Good to see you again. We got Mecha J in the house, Gotta Swim, Daryl Brewer, all swinging those wrenches. Neil's here as well. Wouldn't be surprised if Six is lurking somewhere in the back there. We got Professor R2 here. We got Tim Hayes, who's a member as well. Thank you for the support. And FKHC 2005. Alabama Wyatt's here. Putin's Cat's here. Let's see. We also got Ericole DiStefano. Did I say that right? Probably
Ercole DiStefano.
I was going to say that's a face or well, icon I've seen before, but I've never said the name.
One of my regulars.
I was going to say you must because you knew how to say it. Yekno Mino's here. Fresh Snow is here. Welcome everybody to the show. We got Penny and Phoenix Light as well as so many more filing in here. Hit that like button. Share out the stream. Let everybody know that we are live. Duck Nation's here. Green Raptors here. Dragonzilla and so many more regulars. I love seeing all your lovely faces. We got Bryant Barth in the house, James Woolard, and so many more. Welcome all. So yes, I was correct about Romulus, says James. Well, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't speak on that. But from what I've heard, wasn't very good.
Garbage.
Whoop.
Uh-oh. Price went bye-bye.
He's lost Price. He'll be back, hopefully.
He'll be back.
I'm sure he just had a hiccup. Let's see. We got Infinite Wanderer in the house, sending in $5 before the show. Thank you for that, Infinite Wanderer. Oh, there he is. Speaking of, he's a wanderer in the Ethernet, and he's back.
Yes.
Infinite Wanderer sends in 5 and says, "Well, Borderlands just dropped a teaser for Game 4 to wash out the stink of that movie."
They want to forget the movie.
Did you get a chance to watch this, guys? I'm not a gamer, so
I
didn't know it was coming out.
I heard it was awful, and I really wanted to see it just because of, when I hear it's a train wreck, it's I kind of feel like I want to look at it, but I didn't even get a chance. Unfortunately, I've been busy.
You've been busy.
Well, at least it sounds like the new game is going to be better than that movie.
It seems like anything would be based on what people are saying about the movie, but
I'm skeptical of everything at this point.
I don't blame you.
I wanted to see Alien Romulus too, and I didn't do that. I even had an advanced screening, and I didn't go see it.
Well, yeah, I didn't bother either. But sorry, I can't. Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say to Infinite Wanderer, sorry, none of us have seen the teaser for Game 4 of Borderlands yet. But yeah, none of us have seen the movie either. So
it's certainly not going to help its sales. I mean,
how
much of an advertisement?
There's a staggering amount of excitement at the thought of just never watching it and knowing that I have 2 hours of my life, knowing that I can spend that eating pizza, maybe, thinking about what toxic movie I want to watch in my life, eating more pizza. It's great. No, not Borderlands, though. Not happening. I've never even played the game.
I got friends who played Borderlands a lot, and they said the game, like progressively, each game kind of took a downturn, especially the third one was not really that great. So,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't played the third one, but I've heard not great things about it as compared to what I've heard about the other two. So, if again, as somebody who hasn't played the games particularly much, I don't have any reason to think that Borderlands 4 is necessarily going to be good unless you show me something more.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I mean, hope it's good. Just,
Yeah. Me too. For the sake of the fans, me too.
Exactly. Hashtag me too.
Hashtag me too. We got Goddess of Whim sending in $5. Thank you so much, Goddess of Whim. And she sings, "Ding dong, the witch is dead. The witch, oh witch, the gay space witch. Ding dong, the gay space witch is dead." That's right. Because of Leslie Head.
Headland.
Headlamp. What?
Headland. The only thing I'm upset about is that the absence of the show means I'll have no more super duper Acolyte posters to Photoshop.
That bitch's head's so big, she got a 6 head.
If
she
nothing
bypasses
else,
5, jumps to 6.
Acolyte did kind of unite people in terms of fun, not in the way that intended, but I don't remember such a celebration of taking a dump on something that was genuinely bad And
I'm actually kind of upset because I could have bought a boat.
right. I mean, I actually tweeted a few days before the cancellation that I wanted them to renew it. Like I said that Bob Iger should renew it. I tagged him in it.
Well, don't worry. Cut off one head, two more shall take its place. So just give it some time.
We got Skeleton Crew coming up, so at least there's something. There's something that'll. I don't know if to say to look forward to, but I have a feeling that that's going to be pretty bad.
It looks like
that.
Oh, yeah, good.
No, I was gonna say I'm actually reserving judgment on that. I don't have a whole lot of interest in anything Disney Star Wars, but I'm not going to count Jude Law out.
Yeah,
the
it
trailer.
looks,
The trailer looked. I actually, you know what? One comment I saw about the trailer that I almost agree with is that somebody said this looks like something George Lucas might actually sign off on.
Well, it looked like a throwback to 80s movies like Explorers and Goonies in a way. And, or maybe is trying to go for that kind of Stranger Things, Kids in Trouble vibe or something.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's
I'm hoping, I'm hoping it'll be more, family friendly and not try to like mess around with the lore, but just have like, just be fun, for crying out loud, sort of Caravan of Courage. Remember Caravan of Courage, old folks? Sindel and the Ewoks and everything. Something just like goofy and fun that's just Star Wars for kids. That'd be fun.
I'm thinking even if it's good, no one's going to watch it. But
probably not. No, I mean, the franchise is done. Yeah.
It is one Disney Star Wars project that I'm not assuming will be necessarily bad. Like the Acolyte was pretty obviously going to be bad. But
it'll probably be one of the least offensive to the canon maybe shows. I think it looked harmless. It didn't look like it was trying to push a message. But then you never know with these things. So.
There was that part where I guess he's got he's a Jedi or something, and then so they are throwing that in there. They're going to start trying to connect it to things.
Do we know when it takes place, timeline wise, or when it's supposed to?
Yeah,
because I don't know if it's pre-original trilogy or mid or something, or is it still in the High Republic deal, or I don't know. Stupid High Republic.
Smoke weed every day.
Sure.
That's the High Republic.
I haven't heard that clip in a while.
Wow. Yeah, damn.
I pull it out once in a while. Thank you, Goddess of Whim, for also. I walked right into that one. Goddess of Whim has been a member for 40 freaking months.
Wow.
Holy crap. Holy. Talk about dedication.
That's diabolically huge. Congratulations.
You got a diabolical out of Nick. See that? Thank you. Jeremy Winfield's also been a member for 14 months and says, man, Dismal Disney is just the gift that keeps on giving. Gina, Star Wars, the parks, and all the manner of shenanigans never change Dismal Disney. I know, right? If it wasn't for Disney, we wouldn't have shit to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. We also have Tripping or gifting 5 Midnight's Edge After Dark memberships. Thank you for that. I'll be working on a new commentary soon, one for both the members, and we're going to do one for everybody. Patrick Robinson says, Tom, have you heard of the game Funko Fusion? It has character levels from The Thing, Masters of the Universe, Battlestar Galactica, and many more. Plays like a Lego game. No, I haven't not heard. Is it like a Funko Pop game? Like
what it sounds like.
That's what I would think with Funko, yeah.
Funko Fusion.
I mean, I guess that's one way from the cash in on those little buggers.
Mm-hmm.
No, 6, we're not doing the Twilight edition of Tom and Terry. You can do the Tom and Terry for Twilight. And you'll probably be by yourself. Hey, we got Rick Johnson in the house. How you doing, buddy? Hope you've been having luck on that project I set you up for. We got Patrick Robinson as well. How you doing? A lot more people getting in here. Please share out the link, guys. Hit the like if you haven't already. But no, I've not heard of this. I was waiting to see Patrick. Okay, so he says yes. So interesting. Okay, no, I've never heard of this. I'm kind of surprised they hadn't done something like this sooner. I'm gonna say this is not the worst idea in the world. I know some people hate the Funko Pops. I'm not a fan of them either, but kids love those Lego games.
Mm-hmm.
I've even known adults.
Roblox and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I know adults who get into those Lego games too.
The weird ones.
Well, they're not as weird as bronies, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Unless it's Lego bronies. Sorry, Lego ponies.
Oh my
It
god!
depends. You can do a lot with Lego.
The way you said that just.
Whoa! Okay, all right. Is this TMI territory? You can do a lot with Lego.
Wow. This got steep really
geez.
quickly.
You think they hurt when you step on them?
Yeah, right. It's just imagine what happens when you put in them. Like, man.
Oh, we didn't have to go there necessarily. But,
Lego Hawktois.
Yeah. Oh, tooey. Spit on that thing. So yeah, no, that sounds like an interesting idea, Patrick. I may have to check into that. And thank you for the support. We got Jason Webster sending in 5 Australians. Says to be the 2024 equivalent of Alien Romulus would have to earn 1.4 billion dollars worldwide. Or Aliens, it needs 767.2. Wow, Aliens made that much less than the original Alien?
Seriously?
I thought Alien did so much better.
Yeah, I thought Aliens would have knocked it out of the park.
Well, I looked at the domestic grosses recently adjusted for inflation, and it only looks like Alien was slightly higher than Aliens, but I didn't factor in worldwide.
You know, I think also Alien has a couple of re-releases in theaters too that are counted in this.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
who knows how many of those are factored into that? That's true. That's a very
well. I just know specifically for like the 20th or the 25th anniversaries when they did that director's cut. And that was a wide re-release. And I think they've done it at least once since then too, for like the 30th anniversary. But no, that's interesting. I did not know that. But I asked that the other day, or brought that up the other morning. I should say yesterday morning. I think it was. About how with inflation, Alien Romulus would actually be closer to the bottom of the list as far as openings. And somebody did the math, and I think they said it barely beat or was right around the same place as AVP, I guess.
It was dramatically smaller than Prometheus and Covenant.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, yeah, it was like, yeah, I hate the spin that's been going up about how it's doing these gangbusters numbers. It's one thing we say it's number one in the weekend. Okay, that's true. Fine. But
it only cost like 80 million too. That helps. Or what was it? 100
and that's fine. That means they were not as out of control with their budgets as ours. That's great. I'll give credit where it's due. But however, when we start spinning into how this is the biggest, like one of the biggest, grosses of all the franchise, that's when we're getting to territory where we're straight up lying. That part I don't like, because it's like, just be real with it. It's one thing if you're saying people seem to like it, and there does seem to be a good amount that do seem to like it, but don't lie. At least don't lie saying that it's doing gangbusters. It's doing fine for what it is, but not gangbusters. That's just, I don't like that. To me, it's
just
doing
like gang bangers though.
We already have enough articles and stuff, misleading us from every other type of, medium of stuff ever. The last thing we need is for numbers on entertainment.
Hollywood would never lie to us about their numbers or anything.
Never. And I wasn't sure if we were going to get to this article, but maybe we'll just address it real quick now since Scribe, you sent it. And I like this article, but I'm with Nick on this like idea that Aliens is doing better than it really is. Like, I really don't want people to walk away with that impression, but I do think it does bear noticing, or at least mentioning, that the main successes that Disney has had in the past almost 2 years now have almost all been Fox properties. If you take out Inside Out 2 and a couple of Marvel.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about this headline.
Avatar was originally a Fox property too. Yeah.
Here's the thing about this headline that drove me nuts when I saw it, though. I was like, wait a second. Disney bought Fox in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And since 2017, in the last 7 years, according to this article, only now have they proven the value of that purchase with one movie that Feige didn't even want to have happen, another movie that is a middling at best Alien extension, as compared to a franchise that's had 2 movies in 15 years. I mean, this, to me, and maybe it's intentional or not, this headline is like damning with faint praise the investment wisdom of Disney for having bought Fox in the first place, if they haven't even turned anything that looks like a profit inside of 7 years on a $71 $0.3 billion purchase.
Like Fox is basically Janet Jackson right now going, what have you done for me lately? I know
well, no,
I know he used to love you, but what has he done for you lately?
To me, what it proves is that beyond the fact that Disney made such a poor decision in buying Fox in the first place, is that they didn't even have. I mean, it's not like Fox is lacking in potential of IPs to leverage for good quality entertainment and profit. But in 7 years, the best they've come up with, again, is a movie that Chapek okayed and a Alien movie that nobody asked for.
I think Chapek also greenlit Inside Out 2 and a couple other films around this.
Probably, yeah, the only successful ones. Yeah. So anyway,
well, because there's the timing of them just lines up, but yeah.
But that's what I found interesting about this headline is that it just seems like it's such a. Oh, by the way, Disney's an idiot.
Were you gonna say something, CC?
I was gonna say the promotion for Alien wasn't that bad as well. I mean, maybe it's not doing gangbusters at the box office, but
I mean, they didn't spend as much as what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but there was also not a whole lot of noise around it. They weren't trying to push big messages. The trailer was tame.
Oh, gotcha.
It made the movie look like it was going to be maybe just a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Wasn't going to like go in any kind of crazy, weird, awful directions. Right. It was kind of maybe coming out at a right time where there was just, I need to see something to see in the theaters. I got to, take my family to see a movie or something like that,
And it does, I was just going to say, like with Alien, I was told by specific people, I'm not going to name names, that supposedly had the inside track on this movie, that it was supposed to take away or go away from the whole Covenant Prometheus thing. And when I was hearing that, I'm like, oh no. So I'm glad to see it got a good opening weekend. There's a lot of people who enjoyed it. I'm glad for people who've enjoyed it. I'm not planning on seeing it in theaters. I have a feeling it's going to have a bit of a drop off this second weekend here. I don't think The Crow is going to be any sort of real competition, but I do think I think Deadpool and Wolverine might slip.
Huge.
Alien could even slip down to the third place spot.
You think
because
I
noticed
it's not going to have word of mouth, but I mean, The Crow's got even worse word of mouth.
Well, no. What I think will slip back into second place will be the Blake Lively film. Because there was a bit of a Barbenheimer kind of effect with those two movies last weekend. Remember the weekend before? I mean, where those movies were like neck and neck, and I'm sitting here going, I think that tells me that there was a lot of dates this weekend where it was like, okay, we're gonna go see Deadpool one night, we're gonna go see my movie the next night, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might elevate itself back up to first and second place, pushing Alien down to third place. Crow comes in fourth with a measly like $10 million. If that, well, it might do a little bit better than that, but I mean, that's my kind of quasi prediction for the weekend. I could be wrong. Alien could hang on to the top spot.
It's not really getting.
I think it's going to do somewhere between 50 and 60. I think, there seems to be a fairly good buzz, fairly good. I think there'll be some people who will get curious and check it out because I know one of my friends has seen it and apparently he saw it and there was a pretty good crowd. He said people seem to really like it. So it seems definitely the less knowledgeable you are on Alien, it seems like you're more likelier to like the movie. That's what it seems.
Well, this franchise has.
It seems like it's landing more with normies than it is with true Alien fans.
Oh no! This one is something like if you don't have some idea of the different pieces of the rest of the franchise, half the movie makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about that. From what I've been told, is like you can still, like Nick was saying, I think he's right. Like you can go into this if you haven't seen Covenant or Prometheus, you'll probably enjoy it more. But like that was what killed it for Andre, right? Because the moment this movie solidified those as part of the franchise, it was kind of like how we always go, oh, of course, all roads lead to the Last Jedi, when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah,
he had the same reaction to this. So again, I think Nick is right. It all depends on your level of fandom in this. And there's already different factions of fans in the Alien franchise already. You have the classic fans. You have the fans who completely disregard Ridley Scott's new crap. You have those who completely embrace it. There's a new subsect group now that is trying to claim that they were wrong about Prometheus all this time.
Oh,
because I mean, the cope with some of these people is just redonkulous. It's like, yeah, Prometheus looked pretty and it had some interesting ideas if it wasn't an Alien film.
Right. Exactly.
Well, here's the thing, Tom. I remember when that movie was brand new, and Scott was saying it wasn't an alien movie. He was flip flopping back and forth.
Well, and part of that was the studio
from when
too,
the
but
first
yeah.
trailer came out. It wasn't. It's not again. It is again. He
was saying, "Oh, it's inspired by," and then it's like,
inspired.
"Oh yeah, surprise! It is an alien film." Yeah.
I mean, like, I didn't mind Prometheus when I saw it, and it's been a number of years, but I remember like the ending of it, souring my taste on what was otherwise a few really good ideas along the way. I liked that it wasn't, trying to go full aliens in that sense. He was trying to scale it back and take a quieter approach. But with this movie, with Romulus, I'm just kind of wondering how much of the people, how much of this box office is just people who aren't even really fans at all, except that they see that, oh, there's an alien movie and it looks like it's doing regular alien things, people on a ship, and it looks like it might be okay. And they're not really going in caring about the particulars of what they're messing with or how they're handling it. If it's shot well and it's kind of just reasonable enough,
and that's pretty much that's the normie viewer in general when they hear about, let's just say, a Spider-Man movie, like, oh hey, cool, Spider-Man. They're not looking at it as all the details that we go into. Same thing with Star Wars. That's just how it is. And I think Romulus was trying to aim for that normie crowd, and I truly think, and for the most part, has won it over. That's why I still think it's going to do fairly good, but I think there will definitely still be a small stench of stigma that'll linger for a while.
Well, I'm seeing more talk about the Blake Lively film, It Ends Here or whatever, and that's where Davina Duckworth brings up the DV aspect of the film. People are talking about it, and you say it's not a big seller, and I agree with you, Davina, but at the same time, there's a factor where people will want to see it now because, like, what's the buzz about this? What's the big deal?
It's doing good. It ends with us.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I have a feeling it's going to slip back up this weekend, because there's been a lot of talk around it compared to Alien, which has already kind of dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think because of the Blake Lively effect, that'll help Deadpool and Wolverine, plus the slip off of Alien, where it's going to be an interesting play, the way that the top three plays out here. And I don't think Crow is going to factor into it at all. Unfortunately for that film.
Huge.
Yeah. I know somebody was going to go see it. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to. But
with the Crow?
Wow. Yeah, 6 is going to go see it. She may pop in here.
There was a story earlier today about how the director chose not to have any real guns on set. They were all airsoft guns that were painted. And
I can't blame him in this case.
No, yeah, but I put on Twitter. I said, well, given the events of both Rust and what happened on the first Crow production,
just for the first Crow, just to suspicion alone, I would steer away from it.
Yeah, so he said it was half of his effects budget went into like muzzle flashes and things, but I'm kind of like, well, I guess that's just what you have to do on a Crow movie. So.
It still really bothers me what happened in the initial Crow movie.
Oh, sure, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
and I mean, look, there's some people going around now saying, like, we gotta drop the nostalgia lenses for the Crow and just kind of see this movie for what it is. Yeah, exactly. No,
if you want me to do that, if you want me to do it, change the name.
Yep. No, and I agree with you, Nick, because the clips and stuff I've seen, it does not feel like the Crow. But to go back to this article quick and move forward, like, yeah, no, I like that they're finally, some other people are starting to call Disney out for this. It's like, motherfucker, you spent a shit ton of money and done nothing but let this rot in the garage.
Yeah.
Right? You've just set it there. Yeah, sure, you pulled a few parts out of it to soup up something else like Star Wars and Marvel things, but you really, really haven't done anything else. And that's the other thing is Prey was a movie that was already in production before they bought it.
Right.
I'm hearing now that a lot of these scripts that are making these films now, that they're like Alien Romulus and God, what was the other one they just had here recently that was Fox? I'm trying to remember. But both of them were like scripts that were from before, and they're starting to reevaluate some of the other movies that they canceled, when this started. Like I've been hearing rumors about the Die Hard movie and a few other things that were in pre-production and development.
7 years it's been. 7
well, and this new
years.
Die Hard one, yeah, no, it is so stupid. But yeah, you're right. 7 fucking years and they haven't done anything. No, they haven't even utilized the catalog, and that was what Paulie in the chat was asking here too.
Right.
Let me bring this up. He goes, "Are they making money off the Fox library at all? Only through streaming, really. Yes, they've released some Blu-rays, but they haven't." And this is per Robert Meyer Burnett himself. He said they have only remastered one Fox film since they've been there, and he wouldn't tell me what it was. So I'm assuming it's either Avatar or something else, because I think all the ones we got released already were ones that were done prior to, which have only been like Speed and I'm trying to think the 2 James Cameron, or the 3 James Cameron movies from this last year here, which those weren't even really remastered, so I wouldn't count those. Those were just AI upconverts. So I mean, those movies sold out, I guess. So I mean, I guess they're making some money off the Fox library, but not much right now. It's just really stupid, and they're just wasting, the what do you call it, the potential.
Well, it was just the legacy of that studio has so much to it.
Yeah.
There's so much they could be doing, or just and not having to dump hundreds of millions of dollars into something, but just say, hey, there's this Fox IP that hasn't been touched in 20 years or something. Here's $10 million. Make a little. Just what happened to just small films? If you're not going to use Fox for anything else, could you at least make something out of what you've got? It's insane. But anyway, $71 billion they got to make back. You got to remember, I don't think they've paid off the Fox purchase yet with anything that they got from Fox.
Oh hell no, not even close. Because they haven't even paid off basically what they spent on Star Wars, and part of buying Fox was to get the first 6 Star Wars movies.
And Star Wars is only what? Like, was it 4 or 9 billion? I forget now. 4 billion, 9 billion, something like that.
4.05 billion.
4.05 billion. And Fox itself was 71 billion. Disney is in such
they overpaid for Fox. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah. Weren't they forced to for some reason? I forget exactly how that worked.
Well, what happened was they were originally going to buy it for like, I think 60 something or 60 flat. And then Universal came in at the last minute and started a little bidding war with them.
Yeah.
And they played poker for a bit, and Disney called their bluff, or the other way around. And I guess, however you want to say it, I'm trying to think of how that would have acted out. Basically, Disney was the one who got screwed in the end. Right. They may have won the pot, but they basically bought the pot in the process. It was like, yeah, they didn't really gain anything from it. But so this is a follow up to the whole It Ends With Us thing. This is what I've been talking about, and thanks Six for sending this off to me. The one of the actors, I think he's an actor, Brendan Sklenar, addresses the rumor with It Ends With Us drama vilifying the women. It's been disheartening to see the amount of negativity. So yeah, I think this kind of conversation is going to drive people to go see this film for themselves, so they can.
Well, because the actresses were like having a fight behind the scenes or something, right?
Well, no. Well, I don't know about actresses. Well, their other part of this was the other thing that's kind of buzzing about this film is that the director, although he doesn't. Oh, hey, Six, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we're glad to have you here. I don't know if you want to comment on this when I'm done here in a second here, but
go ahead.
Basically, my understanding was the director and Blake had it out on the set, and she kind of took over the project. And other rumors were that Ryan Reynolds come in and helped her take over the project. But then he was asked about in the press about directing the sequel, and all he had to say was, I think Blake's ready, and he hasn't said anything negative, and he hasn't confirmed any of this other stuff. So it's a lot of he said, she said stuff, talk behind the scenes between cast and crew, I guess, is what's going on here. But Six, I don't know if you've been following this closer than I have, but I've been just kind of keeping up with it what I can in the Toxic Femme group.
Yeah, it's not really my genre. The only thing that I really know about it, and I had sent this to Tom in case he wanted to add it to the Toxic Femme conversation, if none of them had been kind of updated on it, was this movie is based on a book. Colleen Hoover, I think is her name. And so in our community that we all have, everybody in chat and on the panel, we kind of talk about TV, movies, video games, and then you have BookTube. or book talk. And that's basically people who do the same kinds of things that we do, but they talk about books. And I'm a huge book nerd. So that's why this was even in my periphery, because there's a lot of controversy in the booktube talk community, because this woman, she's written a shit ton of books, and she has made it okay for, are we allowed to say the DV? Because I know culture.
I've been just saying
big pussy
DV
about it. Okay.
Yeah, I've been just saying DV.
Okay, I guess you are too. So this author, I guess in her books, I haven't read any of them. It's not, I like sci-fi fantasy. She's made it not necessarily a bad thing for women to be on the receiving end of DV. I get this. I haven't read it, but this is kind of what I'm getting. But people are loving the books because they love the relationships. And apparently, you know, the booktube talkers who tend to lean left anyway, they're kind of into it. So vocally, and when it comes to how they vote, they'll vote, you know, women are strong, women are powerful, women do everything. But when it comes to the kind of book material they read, they're not so much.
Well, the argument for the book is that the relationship between the main character and I guess who you'd rightfully call the villain of the piece is abusive, decidedly. They layer it in the book. They layer it with some complexities that make the villain more human for the sake of his.
So it's not
badness.
like a 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is that 50 Shades of Grey presented such a ridiculously skewed version of how a healthy relationship, an actual functional relationship like that should work, and maybe it primed people for this. But
am I the only one on the panel who didn't read that book?
I never read the book. I just know about it.
Okay.
I may have read the first book for reasons.
Okay.
But
your name is Scribe Light. We'll let that pass.
Well, there's also, by the way, if that's the kind of material you're into, better but much more smutty books are probably the Sleeping Beauty books from Anne Rice from back in the day. But anyway, for this one, the book presents a very complex relationship between the main character and the villain, with the sort of ex-boyfriend on the side. And they make the bad guy, I don't want to give too much away, but they make the bad guy not sympathetic per se, but at least somewhat more.
They humanize him, basically.
Well, maybe not understand, but you can empathize with the forces that led him there. It doesn't justify his actions. Right. But you can empathize with it. And that the one main difference between the book and the movie, and I only know this from reading the synopsis of the movie, is that they take away, and I think this is a detriment to the story. They take away the villain's self-acknowledgement of his own flaws, because it's a very important scene in the book where he kind of tells the protagonist, he confesses that he knows what's driving him to be this way. He has a self-awareness about him. In the movie, a different character tells the main character what's going on with him in a big revelation that really, you kind of make him a worse guy in the movie than he was in the book, which is kind of weird to say when he's still doing terrible things. Anyway, not to try to get too far into it, but I just found that particular thing really kind of bugged me, is the change that they made to the movie, because it really drastically alters the dynamic between the two, and the whole relationship between those two is the story. So anyway, I could go on.
Well, I think the same people who say that video games cause people to be violent would maybe be saying that people who read this kind of book are going to be victims of DV, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't care.
No.
Read this kind of stuff. I don't care if you want to make the villain sympathetic. That's fine.
The book does not glorify the actions the guy takes. It's a reality. And when we hear about these things all the time, where after the fact, after some tragedy or after some extreme thing has happened, you ask yourself, well, why did she stay with him this whole time if he was being that bad? There is a psychological mechanism in people, not just women in marriages, but even men in marriages or otherwise, of dependence. When you have a codependent relationship and you have either a low self-esteem on one end or the other, and these are common things. I don't think the book is glorifying this, but at least gives a more.
But I think what you're saying is like the context is kind of lost between the translation. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Well, I haven't seen the film, so I don't know.
At least that's your understanding, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Except for a couple key plot points, I don't know what the difference is between the book and the film, or how the film presents it. But anybody saying that the book glorifies or somehow makes attractive the kind of relationship that's profiled there, I think is completely wrong.
Yeah, I
Okay, so
haven't
it's not-
seen anybody say that they glorified it. I've seen
It's
people
not
say
like-
that they make it okay.
It's not romanticizing the idea.
No, it's not romanticizing it, but again, it's as much as you can, at least again in the book, they provide a reason, not an excuse. I should make that distinction. There's a reason, not an excuse, for the husband's behavior, and there are reasons, not excuses, for her staying with him as long as she did. But eventually, it has about as optimistic, maybe a bit too idealistic a resolution by the end than real life. But at least it doesn't say this is a healthy way to live. It's nothing like that in the book.
So you
Yeah,
read this book though.
I have, yes.
Okay. It's interesting hearing a man's perspective and then hearing the target audience of the book's perspective.
Yeah, again, it's just my opinion. I again, it deals with that kind of relationship, and you can do this in a book more so than you could like in an hour and a half movie or something. The abusive back and forth toxic relationship between the two has a lot more layers and nuance to it than just he's bad and she's a victim. He is bad and she is a victim, but it takes two to tango to a certain point. And again, this is not me trying to minimize DV or anything like that.
I mean, the way you're talking, I can kind of see where the author is probably trying to take the stance of it's not an excuse, but it's more so showing why. Because you kind of already hit on this.
Yeah.
Why these relationships happen and why sometimes you even have, like, you know, not to quote those old, you know, ABC Sunday night movies of the week or whatever, you know, where it'd be like, you know, I only know that he hurts me because he loves me, you know, that kind of
yeah, right. It's not, yeah, it's not quite that melodramatic. It is more nuanced, and while there's no gray area as to whether or not DV is bad, there is a lot of gray area in human motivation and emotions when it comes to attachment one to another, and that's okay. I don't want to give too much of a book review here on a
but it is
It's like
it is kind of
you should be
adding
able to
some more
write about
layers.
it.
Oh, go ahead, CC. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying you should be able to write about it in principle, right? It's
Yeah,
just,
well-
I mean, and exploring it in a nuanced way is great. If it's kind of like cheap, you know, dime store fiction, I mean, it's like, okay, you do your thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can already tell it's of more caliber, at least more quality of something than like 50 Shades of Grey. Not to dump on 50 Shades of Grey, but unfortunately for me, 50 Shades of Grey comes off as pretty much what it is, you know, fanfic, you know, Twilight fanfic turned into its own thing. And really, you know, you brought up the point before, I've basically said it's the housewives version of what a BDSM relationship is.
Yeah, well, I won't go too deep. 50 Shades of Grey is a different territory for me for various real life reasons. The only thing I'll say
fair,
about
but I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
it doesn't feel authentic. Right?
No.
My point to this is
no way,
this
shape, or
almost
form.
feels like this may be coming from some place of her own, the author, of their own experiences. And again, I'm seeing now, the more you explain it to me, that it doesn't sound like it's an excuse for the characters, but it's more so an examination of why people like this end up in these situations. Because you're not, like, in reality of it all, we've seen it a million times over, right? We see it on all these cop shows. We see it on all these other places. We probably know somebody in our real life who we know that is probably in a shitty situation. Exactly. And you're like, how do you put up with that? Why are you putting up with that? And this book, and probably by extension the film, are probably trying to answer some of those questions, or at least give people the idea of this is why these relationships continue even past the point where they should.
It sounds like shit to me.
Well, it's the author's interpretation. I will say, and again, this is just, I have not been in such a relationship. I know people who have been. I thought that the book, as far as what happened with the relationship and the consequences to the villain, despite the author giving reasons for it, again, they're reasons, but they're not excuses. So without spoiling anything, he got away with it, which didn't make me happy. That's I mean, for all intents and purposes, he got away with it. So,
but there is sequels too, so I'm sure there's more.
Oh
to
yeah,
the
no,
story.
there's it ends with us and then it begins with us, and there's this whole like deep meaning behind the title. But anyway, I blabbed.
Yeah, and kind of attached to that, since 6 is here, J-Lo.
What already? Again?
What's funny is she's the one that files for divorce. I figured it'd be him.
Yeah, that was the final straw where I was like, I gotta go on Tom's show because I came here for the funeral for the Acolyte, and also the funeral of J-Lo and
he was probably waiting for her to file.
He was probably what?
He was probably waiting for her to file. Like he was too lazy to go file himself. He's sitting around drinking vodka.
Well, it sucks for Ben because there was no prenup according to the headline here. And let's be real, her finances have not been in the bestest places lately because she had to cancel her tour, if you remember recently.
Yep.
Maybe she did it in order to now say that he needs to give her money.
Give me some of that bat money, Ben.
But who has more money? She has a lot of money, supposedly. I don't think that she's...
Oh, yeah, she's probably fine. You might be right. He might come out of this.
all depends on your spending habits. I mean, she might be near on broke depending on how much she's spending on private.
That's what I'm
jets and
wondering.
mansions and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
And I don't know what she would have had to have paid out for that tour cancellation. And
I mean, she has a larger net worth than him, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, because she's a musician and.
Wouldn't she have had insurance for the tour
makeup
and do that?
Cosmetics and shit that people buy.
6, what did you say about that?
She has more money than he does.
Wouldn't she have had, like how movies get insurance in case, the star breaks a leg or something shuts down, hurricane. Do they do that for tours?
You're actually, yeah, that's a good point.
I think that they used to insure her ass. Right?
I believe they do, yeah.
Well, and actually, Price, you might know something about this seriously, though. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they do have insurance for something if something were to go wrong with the main act and they have to shut everything down. But I don't know if that would qualify here because she just decided to because of lack of sales. I don't know if that would qualify for insurance to kick in or not. She would have to have broken a leg or something, I think.
I mean, first of all, from my experience in booking shows like this, which I actually did in my past, usually there's like a 50% upfront that you have to pay like a deposit. So a lot of places must have put down a deposit, but she also is supposed to get from the back end money from the ticket sales and things like that. I assume that if it's canceled, you really want it to be mutual. You want it to be that the venue, if the venue is selling all the tickets and they're making a ton of money and you cancel on them, they're going to be really pissed. But if it's a situation that their tickets aren't really selling, maybe you and the venue have this kind of joint interest that you don't want the tour to take place. And probably the ticket sales weren't doing well, which is why she canceled them. Now, if she's smart in her divorce, she could say that the reason that she wasn't marketing it well was because, Ben was drunk, whatever, and now she wants money.
So
or she could even
Ben Affleck insurance. Affleck.
No, that's interesting, Price. And I didn't, I wouldn't be surprised if her lawyers don't bring that up. If there is a divorce proceeding, it's probably going to be an arbitration more than an actual anything else.
It could also be that they're both just who they are and they do this amicably. They haven't been married for 50 million years. So the only thing she could really say...
You're talking about Jennifer Lopez. Nothing ends amicably.
I was going to say, I think you
the
were
amount
more...
of divorces she's had piling up now in splits. It is...
I'll give you that much, but...
That whole My Love Don't Cost a Thing, all the divorces and splits, her love costs stress, heartaches, headaches, and a whole several million, maybe at this point, billions of dollars. She is most definitely the crazy one.
You do not want this.
Did we get details, Nick, about like how much in depth was it released in the news? Like, do we know details or do we just know money?
Not yet. Well, I am curious to hear more details.
I'm just saying that if she tries to go after Ben's money, she can't do the thing like with the Eddie Murphy. I want half. That's not going to work.
Even if she did, let's just say she did. she's not going to really gain on much because I mean, if what we're saying is true about her net worth compared to Ben's, she kind of destroys Ben. Like,
Right,
like
and they
she
don't have-
like I'll give her credit there. She runs circles around his.
They don't have any kids. The only thing that she has is she can say that because of his behavior, he ruined her tour for some reason, and she wants money compensation for that specific tour.
No,
Even if she
okay.
gets money out of him for that, that's not going to be everything that he has.
Is that something that
according
has
to
to be
this-
proven, or is that something you could just say as simply hearsay and they're just going to take your word for it, though?
According to this, her lawyers are trying to waive spousal support and asking the judge to deny Ben support as well. So,
Oh, so it's just a split. Just
an
Just a
amicable
split.
split. It sounds like here, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Since they didn't have any children.
Now let's see if
was
Affleck
that,
doesn't
6?
do like the reverse. If he isn't like, I would have gone to do this Batman movie if it wasn't for J-Lo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
today it might be amicable,
Yeah.
but we'll see what happens tomorrow, next week, next
Good
month.
point.
They might, as soon as one of them starts dating somebody else, it might get real pissy real fast.
Well,
Maybe-
if we're going to be
Oh,
very
there's
fair
more.
here, like J-Lo might be like psycho on roids, but Ben Affleck is still just diet psycho because let's not forget who he was married to just a few years before, Jennifer Garner. And Jennifer Garner is definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Well, you guys
as
might
well.
be on to
So
something.
I think like in a way, it almost made sense for Affleck and J-Lo to go to each other because they both have a crap ton of issues, and they could have had their crazies balance each other out. But now the crazies have been led on to the wild, and they'll probably both be married again to different people in a few years each.
Well, almost goes
Again.
back to what we were talking about with the book before. It's almost like The Devil You Know. These guys were married before, they split up, they,
Well, and
wandered
6
around
might
for a
be
while,
right
and then-
here because it says that
Yeah.
they actually are arguing about money behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There's never going back. I mean, I think that if you have a relationship and then after 20 years you're like, oh, let's rekindle it and get married, most cases that doesn't work out. I'm not trying to be mean. Maybe there's an oddball one that works out once in a while. But
Well,
I
no,
feel
the
like-
statistics aren't against you from the start because you already got a divorce once.
Right. It didn't work out once, so why would it work out the second time? And it's not like these two people had this stellar track record of like marriages and relationships. There always some weird crap going on with both
Surprisingly, Ben's only been married twice.
of them. Yeah,
I
but
wonder
there
if
was
you-
a bunch of,
so
but
if you
he
add
may not
Ben
have been
Affleck-
married to his nannies, but he
you
certainly was very chummy with them.
If you add Ben Affleck's amount of years married and J-Lo's amount of years married, they probably put together don't even amount to the amount of years Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn have been together. That should tell you something.
Oh, not even close because those two have been together since I was a kid. So,
Dude, yeah, they're like what? They've been married for 40 years now.
I don't think they've been
41?
married. They never got married.
Yeah, they're
I
in it
thought
for the
they did
long
get
haul.
married.
No,
Did they
that
get
was always the joke. No, that was always the joke. In fact, they always joked about how that's what kept them together was that they never were married. Probably.
Oh no, you were right. They got no, they just had.
I mean,
been
by
together
common
since
law marriage, I guess they
1983.
would be by this point.
Yeah.
But like they
just-
even did a bit once. I don't know if it was even a bit, but they were on the Oscars together, and she's like, "Is this a marriage proposal?" And he's like, "I don't know, maybe."
So I
It's
was
like-
right and wrong. I was right in the sense that they've been together 41 years. I was right on the money at the number, but I was wrong with the being married. They just been together 41 years. They may as well just be married at this point.
No, they
Seriously.
technically are common law marriage, I guess. But,
Yeah.
But no, that's interesting. I don't know if there's anything more you wanted to say about it, 6, but I think you're right that this is not the end of this.
No, this is like
High five.
toxic femininity tabloid garbage.
No, but I just thought it was fun to bring up here real quick. But let's get into the meat tonight. We got some. I hate calling it good news because it isn't. Like, I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit here and deny that we don't benefit from stupid shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep putting it out there. We're gonna make videos about it. We're gonna make money off it. It just is the truth, it is what it is. But Disney got smart and they canceled season 2 of Acolyte. And I think we were kind of figuring this was going to happen anyway when you had Leslie Headland out there begging people to start a campaign for the show. But yeah.
Well, the
so
fact that they greenlit Ahsoka season 2 and
Yeah.
Andor season 2, I thought they'd at least give it 2 seasons. That seems to be the standard. Like even Velma and these other things got 2 seasons of garbage before they finally said, probably not. But sure, why not dump this one? I hadn't thought about it, but I watched the video that you and Andre put out today, and I was like, it is interesting that this one cancellation gets headlines, whereas, as Andre pointed out, usually when a series is or is not picked up, they usually do some kind of bulk article release sometime in the middle of the year or something.
Yeah, it's usually when they get up to that fall. Well, we don't really technically have a fall season like we used to. We kind of still do.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's usually about that time of the year where they announce these are the shows that have been renewed. These are the shows that have not been renewed. And that's kind of about the fanfare they get as far as being canceled. Because otherwise you don't hear about it unless you got a show that's being campaigned for, like, was it like The Expanse? And some of those other shows in the past where, they knew they were on the verge of being canceled, so they'd start a campaign behind the scenes with. But then you actually had people from the show going, yeah, we need help, guys. And we saw that right away with this. And that's where I'm like, I'm not surprised. Not surprised in the friggin' least. But you're right. It is a bit strange that we just get kind of an announcement like this. It actually, let's be clear, it's not actually an announcement. What this is somebody slipped it to Deadline. It's not an actual announcement from Disney.
No, but nobody's denying it either.
No. But you were chuckling there, Six. So what were you chuckling about there?
Well, the first place I saw it before it hit the trades was No Time to Shine, or No Time.
My Time to Shine.
Yeah, that was where I first heard it. And usually when news drops, I'm like, oh, I got to send it to Tom. I don't even think I even sent this to you, because it's like, well, duh. Was anybody really expecting a season 2?
No.
So this was not shocking. And then everybody's talking about it. And I'm like, why is nobody talking about Disney giving up the right to arbitration, in that wrongful death?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Well, that ticked me off earlier, because that's another story. But after they were called out for trying to get out of
I was going to get to that. Maybe.
Okay. All right. I won't say nothing.
No, I was either that or I was going to save it for morning show. So, I mean, if not, we can maybe comment on that in between all this here.
Another thing I thought was funny about this cancellation was they announced it on Manny Jacinto, the male star of the show. He's Canadian. It was his birthday yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but that leads us into the next part of this story, actually, Six. I want to get everybody's reactions, but it just kind of flows nicely into this because, there's a bunch of people freaking out, and that's kind of the inspiration for the second song in the Acolyte AI songs, is that there's a bunch of fans or stans melting down, calling the racist, sexist people after the show they're blaming them, aka us, for the show reportedly being scrapped. Viewership data was abysmal. That's the truth of the matter. It was the lowest watched Star Wars show ever. I think Droids got better ratings. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about there, that was that short-lived animated series that went along with Ewoks on Saturday mornings for one season. So yeah, what's everybody's reaction to this? Let's start with Price. I mean, I don't think anybody's really surprised by this, but it's your fault,
I know Price had to step away. I don't know.
Oh, did he step away? Okay, thank you. So let's start with, you can start with you, Six, if you want to go ahead.
Well, everything's our fault. Particularly the white man, and shame on you guys. You should be, you should get a good paddling.
So does that mean like one half of me should feel shame and the other half should feel like nothing? Like, what does that mean?
The pizza half of you should feel badly. Disney, Greg made a comment that he's actually surprised that they cancel it because, Disney's failing upwards or trying to fail upwards. So yeah. And that is an excellent point. I don't know at what point or what exactly are they going to say? What is there going to be an official announcement? Is Kathleen Kennedy going to come out and say something? Are they going to blame? Are they still blaming it on the pandemic? Are they going to blame the election for stealing all the views? And everybody's watching politics rather than than watching the show. It's just, I'm interested to see what the aftermath is going to be, what they're going to say, what they're going to blame, how, you know, because eventually people are going to start giving clips, quotes and stuff on red carpets about it. Journalists are going to ask them, so, you know, what do you think about what happened with the Acolyte? And they're going to be promoting something else, and they're going to let something slip about the Acolyte. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think to answer your, I mean, I know it was kind of rhetorical, but to answer your question, I think we're already seeing the beginnings of what we're going to see. And that is what we got on the screen right here. You know, they're going to sit here and go, oh, well, if it wasn't for the sexist and racist rhetoric and discussion around the show, I really think, you know, the show would have been a success. That's what
they already started. Sorry, they already started planting. I think it was Variety or one of those Hollywood Reporter when they were writing about review bombing. You know, I'm so sick. I'm so sick about hearing that review bombing crap. They review bombed it with great reviews. The show is one of the biggest disasters I've ever seen. I don't care if you like propaganda, if you don't like propaganda. I don't care what your politics are. That show was a piece of shit all around. There's no way around it. And to try to say that this is review bombing, it's so pathetic that these supposedly legitimate industry trades would even go there. But that's just my opinion.
I think it would. I mean, they might go this way. I think it'd be a mistake, at least PR wise, because
they already are doing it.
Well, okay. Well, then they're effectively saying we've capitulated to the hate crowd, and we believe in this project, we love this project and everything else, but we're going to bow to the haters. I don't know if that's the message they really want to send to their base or their internal base, because then it's like, oh, okay, so you're just going to bow to negative reviews in your production decisions?
They always do the same thing. If something is successful, they don't say anything. And if something is not successful, it's because of the haters and all the ists and phobes online that don't like diversity supposedly and wouldn't give it a chance. And they've been using this same playbook for about 7 years. And Kathleen Kennedy is the queen of this playbook, and she's not afraid to use it again. There's PR people working at this very moment, pushing this propaganda, this agenda into the trades as we speak.
You know, once upon a time, to be part of all those industries, you look at someone like that, and I guess I wouldn't say you had like a blind loyalty or worship, but more of like a default sense of respect that, hey, you're in this big position, you're considered part of the legitimate people who do these jobs. You would think that there are people who would take their job seriously, but if you're someone who actually pays attention for more than 5 minutes, you realize, wow, these people are not as sharp as I could have imagined. And I used to I guess you'd say I held my head initially in moderate regard for them until I started noticing, how these constant patterns were happening. I'm like, wow, these people are morons. And then that's when I realized that being in this position, the perceived position of legitimacy is not really all it's hyped up to be. It's just people who have a lot more people to hear their voice than me and you guys. That's all that it is.
Well, CC was about to say something there before. So what's your reaction to this, CC, and what else were you going to say there?
Well, I've been going through the Mark Thompson audiobooks of the Thrawn trilogy. I did that instead of watch The Acolyte.
Nice.
I actually wasn't aware of them until recently. And I just kind of stumbled upon it. And they're so fantastic. He brings all of the characters to life. And if anybody listening who has not checked these out, it's worth your time. It's about 15 hours for each book. And I'm halfway through The Last Command right now.
Nice.
But it's really hammering home to me just how excellent the true sequel trilogy is. And like The Last Command came out in 1993, right? Now I was probably 8 years old when that book came out. So it took me, a few years before I even realized the books existed. But I mean, I have to reflect on that a bit because this is 10 years after Return of the Jedi, right? 10 years or 8 years for the first book. And then you have this spectacular sequel trilogy. And as I recall, because I had the book on my shelf back in Oakville, they were even labeled as episode 7, 8, and 9. And they earned that. I know maybe George wouldn't have gone and used them, but nevertheless, they earned it. And for the large part of the fan base, anybody who's aware of them, so it just, like, here we are 30 years later, and we have the Acolyte instead.
Here's the thing. I was just thinking about this today. It was very bizarre you bring up the Thrawn trilogy or the Zahn trilogy, depending on how you look at it. For those of you who are too young to know, there was this thing called the Expanded Universe, and it was basically started effectively with this series of 3 books. And I read a lot of Star Wars novels over the 90s, and not every novel. The first novel in the Thrawn trilogy is called Heir to the Empire. Not every novel in the EU was an heir to the Empire. There were a lot of novels that were, it's okay. But here's the thing. Every novel had a love for the source material. And so even the worst EU novel still felt like Star Wars, still felt like part of that universe. And so if the Acolyte was just one weird blip in an otherwise, a satisfying timeline of other projects, you could probably ignore it and it'd be kind of like, it's okay. It's part of the tapestry, something like that. But unfortunately, just like with so many other Disney projects, it is an outward insult and rejection of the canon. If it weren't an outward, see, my biggest guilty pleasure in the EU is a book called Darksaber, and I think it's written by Kevin J. Anderson. It is such a goofy plot line where a Hutt crime boss decides he wants to build a super weapon like the Death Star. The whole thing plays out half as a comedy, half as a Star Wars adventure, but it is otherwise innocuous. It plays the characters as we know them to be. It plays out the universe as it's been established. It's a one and done, self-contained, fun little book. It doesn't harm anything. And if the Acolyte had been that, nobody would care. And Star Wars fans, old school Star Wars, are very forgiving for having something goofy in the timeline that you just kind of like, it's part of the tapestry. Acolyte, everything else Disney's produced is not part of the tapestry. It's a big pair of scissors, no pun intended, but I'll take it, trying to cut through what people love.
Well, Nick hasn't had a chance to really speak on this yet, but as you see here, there's a lady with colorful hair, which we know we're going to love hearing what she has to say. So before we get into this video, Nick, give us your thoughts on the whole Acolyte business.
I'm actually surprised it actually got canceled, considering
you are.
Yes, if there's one thing especially not only just them canceling it, but them outright saying it, because we have ideas of like certain shows, like let's just say Ahsoka are probably not gonna get a second season, but they've been spinning
actually
their
it's already
way
been
on,
announced, but yeah,
but there has not been some public announcement the way this was. Like there's been like, oh, it's coming, just we're just holding out hope, stuff like that. This is where they're actually saying, they do either they talk around it or they stealth cancel, kind of like the soy cheese sequel. We've been hearing about it for 3 years now, that it's coming, guys. It's still coming, and still nothing. But this is them actually outright saying it's straight up not gonna happen. It's a big immense. I think it's what I'm actually more surprised, the fact that they're actually outright saying it's canceled, because nowadays it seems like they don't want to admit to any loss in any way, because it seems they care more about what people say, and they want the people who they perceive to be their enemies to look like they're right about anything. And if there's one thing I've learned, that a lot of these type of people are willing to have their lives be sacrificed at the altar of a piranha over admitting being wrong about anything. So yeah, that's what I'm surprised about. But I will enjoy basking in the glory of watching the people who are happy be happy, and the ones who are mad be mad.
Yeah, I just got to say, I think part of the conversation of all this Acolyte stuff started before this slip, we'll call it. It's not technically an announcement. It's a slip to the press. They did announce at the more recent, was it D23, they announced that Ahsoka season 2 was coming, Andor season 2 was coming, the Mandalorian movie they talked about, but they didn't talk about Acolyte and stuff like that. So that's what got people started buzzing about it a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's kind of where a lot of this started from. But yeah, no, it's still strange that anybody would want to get this out in the press like this. It's almost like they want to get it out of the way so they're not talking about it in a few months or something like that, and keep asking about it or something. But just real quick before we start the video, I just want to thank Kitty Bear for being here for 29 months as a member. Thank you for that. Larry has just become a member, and when we have a new member, we get a video. Did anybody catch what level he joined at? Let's see here. I don't have the thing up here. It's on my same screen as the video. So I gotta go.
Scrolling. Minimum effort.
Minimum effort, puppy. That's Mikey's favorite. Let's see here. Where is it? There it is. Thank you so much, Larry, for becoming a minimum effort puppy. There you go.
So cute.
And then we got Green Raptor here who says with $5, if we're distracted by games, do check out Prime Video's secret level trailer, Love, Death, Robot style anthology for various game series. Well, there you go, gamers. There's a recommendation from Green Raptor.
Yeah, I saw the preview. It looks like a cinematic cutscene, the series, which might actually be pretty good, all things considered. Cutscenes oftentimes are better than the games they.
Yeah. Then Lost for Words has been here for 30 months. Thank you for that. And then we got Sammy BH77 who sends in $4.99 and says, it's clear the Acolyte was created by evil people who wanted to encourage their evil. Well, that's hard to argue with.
Yeah, like with what Scribelight was saying about the EU, that, and I'm old as fuck, so I'm a huge EU fan. And yeah, there's some blips in there, but they weren't forcing a message down our throats the way that the Acolyte is a huge blip, and it's a forced message.
It is very forced, pun intended. It needs to go force itself.
Force is done.
And then Jason Webster sends in $5 and says, good news, Star Wars has passed the stone known as the Acolyte. Oh, yes, it did. So let's take a look at this video here. This is some people freaking out. Over to Acolyte.
So the Acolyte was canceled. It's definitely because incels didn't like two people of color holding hands. We're not gonna forget that.
They've hit the second tower.
It was set up to fail from the beginning. When the Acolyte was first announced as a female-run show with Leslie Headland at the helm, starring a black femme
She forgot former Weinstein assistant.
and a diverse cast of characters, unlike we had seen in a Star Wars project before, the review bombers took to the internet before the show even had a chance to air.
Is it worth the price?
I understand that.
Hold up, I'm pissed off we got left out of that collage. Anyway.
It got reviewed down to an insane degree by so many people who were hating on it just because of what seemed like internal prejudice.
Amanda Stenberg, who not only gave a phenomenal performance as Osha, but also as her twin sister May, had no choice but to stick up for themselves
Phenomenal
and
performance.
against the vitriol and bigotry that she was receiving because Lucasfilm did not protect her.
Those green fingernails are not working.
It's supposed that Star Wars fans were divided, and by that I mean incels of the internet and of Twitter.
Managed to pull off enemies to lovers so well.
Lucasfilm didn't do anything to protect the cast and the crew
What
of
a
the
bunch of
Acolyte.
weasels.
Why can't the girls have fun things for the girlies?
But it just shows how fragile you guys are to storytelling.
And it was for the girls on board.
Leslie Headland was so dedicated as a fan of Star Wars.
I don't know about that.
Hold up, I want to hear what this chick has been funny the whole time. No, you're fine.
As a fan of Star Wars.
So when Mother Anicia says this quote,
Okay.
and the whole show is literally about people of color.
Ask me what I'm about to do.
What are you about to do?
I'm about to cry. Thank you for asking.
I don't care about what the incel said.
You guys bullied Amanda Stenberg so bad.
Stop covering up your
Was kind of
boobs.
to be expected, considering how it is set in the universe that has, if not one of then the most toxic fan base like ever.
To receive this news, I like him.
I am mourning the fact that we're not getting any more Khmer edits because we're not going to get any more source material.
What do you mean? It wasn't bringing in the view.
The president is setting is very scary and very concerning. What Lucasfilm is doing with this decision is allowing the bigots to win, allowing the bigots to run with this and decide, even if that's not the original intention of canceling the show, that they have won, that they are correct, that Star Wars needs to be white and male, and it can't be anything else.
Sorry, what does bigotry mean again?
Whatever goes against their social ideological lean.
As an English major, I have to say I get really annoyed. I understand a little bit, but I get annoyed at the conflation between the words racist and bigot.
Well,
Bigot is about ideas.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
But
and so
what's
if you-
hilarious is the ones that are using the word all the time are the ones who are being the most bigoted.
Well, that's what I'm trying to point out. is
I
that,
know that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, anybody who disagrees with my opinion on the Acolyte is obviously an incel and a racist and this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, and who's the bigot again? Again, bigotry in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if someone says, I really enjoy kicking puppies in the face, you're like, I don't like you. I think I can be okay as a bigot in that case.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm bigoted against people who like to kick kittens. Exactly. Like, what the fuck?
But the lack of self-awareness in using that term in particular when they're making their complaints is kind of funny. But anyway,
because those types of arguments they have are not based off a experience or principle. It is a emotional reaction to benefit whatever their argument means at that minute. They don't actually have a stance that they really fall on that say this is where I plant my tree and not budge. This is just whatever benefits the argument at that time. These are type of people. They are willing to contradict themselves. You can call them out for being a hypocrite all you want. Honestly, it's kind of useless, even if it's true. They don't care because they just want to be on top no matter what.
Well, I don't intend to try to change their minds on it because they just somehow they just keep losing. They're so sad all the time. Why was this taken away from you? It was so perfect. Well, maybe you should get.
What I love is they take zero responsibility themselves, right?
Exactly.
It could be because you didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it, and that's another thing too. Like, okay, so there's a lot of people who didn't watch it, myself included, and you kind of need those people to watch it in order for it to even have engagement. Maybe the idea of even entertaining a second season, should you ever consider that idea? Because in order to get more shows of anything going and more movies, you need to actually have people engage with them. Nowadays, it seems like Hollywood is committed to making a political point, even if it means they have as less people watching them. I mean, look at Batwoman. But it seems like now the Acolyte may have been the straw that broke the camel's back, and maybe that's not going to be as much of a thing. I don't want to say we're past the days of that yet. I think there's still going to be some things that they're going to still try to milk. Because these type of people, they're willing to burn it all down to keep their ideology intact. But I think we're definitely going to see more things not hold off as long, getting abysmal ratings. Hopefully, this will be the first thing that leads to more of this, and it's realizing, oh, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we choosing to burn through money on stuff that we don't need to be doing? We should be focusing on trying to have people involved.
I think if nothing else, what I kind of see happening is that you'll still have those projects that have the message in them, but their budgets are going to be decidedly smaller.
Well, and I've said that too, that across the board, you're still going to see things like that. You just won't see it as much in superhero films.
That's how it used to be, though. That's
exactly,
how it used to be, and it was fine.
Yes,
they could make a small movie about some kind of issue that they're very excited about. They'd get a few Oscars for it. The regular public, if it really interested them, they could watch it, and if not, they wouldn't watch it. But it was like a niche. It was a niche. It wasn't that they would take Star Wars and shove it down your throat, and it wasn't like they took superheroes and shoved it down your throat. And it's time that they stopped all of this because they're not making money, and they're a bunch of fucking idiots, so they should stop doing it.
Well, here's my impression of the whole entire situation.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved.
How dare you?
Let
That's my impression of the whole situation there.
Let those projects still exist, but just focus it on your own smaller budget things. Stop trying to get involved in built-in IPs where you can put your story in someone else's. Go make it on your own. We're not going to cancel you. We're gonna let you make your thing on your own terms, on your
We
own
even
money.
helped
And
them.
if it
We
does
watched.
well.
I didn't
great.
personally, but
Happy
the YouTubers did watch this crap, so they can't really blame us.
Well,
But
yeah,
Six,
some-
you were
Well,
the
they
only
are.
one. I know. Well, I was just gonna say I'm gonna turn it over to you now because you were one of the only ones during the whole video there that actually sounded like you were getting pissed.
Well, it does. Where did that video come from? Let me try to get my head together.
Where did that come from? That's a great compilation. Steph put it up. I don't know who if she actually put it together herself or
Awesome.
so, yeah. I'll send you a
I've
link
sat
there.
on a lot of panels with a lot of dudes and a lot of ladies. It's been mostly dudes. I've been in a lot of backstage conversations, group chats, which stress me out, so I tend to leave them. If our community were what these women are saying they are, I would be the first bitch to call them out. Tom, have I ever called you out on a live stream? Nick, have I ever called you out on a live stream? I do it all the time.
I was gonna say technically, yeah, you have. I wasn't sure which answer you wanted.
So if it was actually going on, if you guys in general, just the gentlemen in our community, on the panel, in the chat, if you guys were really misogynistic, I would not be hanging out here. And sometimes people say things that sound not cool, but because I know the person that they are, I know what they mean. I know that they're maybe saying something for entertainment value, or there's like another sentence that could have followed it to explain to somebody who'd never met them before.
But you call me out on my shit all the time.
It's and then you explain it. But I also know the person that you are. I know that you're not this incel. I know that Nick is a genuine person who cares about women, and he cares about children. He cares about his community and his environment. And I know that.
Well, he's got daughters for Pete's
sake. Exactly. And he is such a great girl dad.
And they gotta have pizza too. They gotta have pizza too.
Yeah, exactly. So for them to be calling whomever they're targeting that language at, they're cunty, bitchy. They're just wrong. They're wrong. And it pisses me off that they're making those accusations. And like I think it was Scribelight, you said that, if you guys want to make this show, there's a place for that show to exist, but don't blame us because you can't bring in the viewers. Why aren't you rounding up your girl power ladies and getting them to watch the show?
Yeah, well, it's like
hanging
so
out
many
at
other,
the DNC. Sorry,
it's like so many other media and elements that have been taken over the last 10 years or so by the social justice crowd, the woke crowd, the DEI crowd. It's that, I mean, basically the high production, or I should say high budget movies, if you think of it as its own planet, is sort of like when all the social justice stuff moved into D&D. You take over a platform, you inject it with your ideology until you overwhelm and push out anybody who just doesn't want to be there because it's no longer any fun. Then you claim yourself as king of the mountain, and then you put out something that makes you feel good about yourself and you feel like you've accomplished something that nobody wants. And then the whole thing has just been destroyed and people move on to other things, and you call them the bad guys because you drove them out and they don't like your thing, when you could have made your own thing off to the side and maybe you'd find your own audience. It's this divide and conquer kind of deal. And so now, unfortunately, Hollywood's learning, and Disney especially, at the price of billions and billions of dollars spent and lost over the course of time, that, sometimes ideologies are niches. They are not public domain, if that makes any sense. And so can you imagine, I just thought about this the other day. Can you imagine if Disney actually put out a quality, old-fashioned Star Wars show, or just a movie or something that just was a total throwback, didn't have any apologies for it, didn't try to mess with the canon, just told a fun Star Wars movie. Can you imagine how much free press people like Midnight's Edge and Nerdrotic and everybody else would be howling from the rooftops in support of such a thing, as compared to this? We're like, oh, it's all these guys online knocking it down, everything else. Yeah, there's a reason, because we love this stuff. We know what it's supposed to feel like, and you guys have ruined it, and you don't know what you're talking about. It's not one of these things.
The people who gave us crap for liking this stuff now want to like it because it's the talk of the town, and now they want to invade our spaces and act like they were into it all along. They are the absolute
Posers.
Definition of posers. Thank you.
Posers.
I was just you beat me to that word. They are freaking
Posers.
posers. They are trendy posers.
Yeah, if you want to be welcomed into a community like this, holy cats! If somebody says, "Hey, I don't know anything about Star Wars. What's it about?" Man, you would not be able to shut me up for hours, and I would love to tell you about all these things, whether it's Star Wars or Marvel Comics or Vampire the Masquerade or on and on and on. And yet, nearly all of these things have been infected and ruined, and I've just like fallen out of love with them because there's nothing. Like I can always go back to the classics, right? I can go back to the old role-playing books for Star Wars and the novels and everything and reminisce. But happiness is having something to look forward to. And the problem is when you destroy the future of a thing, it becomes very difficult to get excited about that thing any further. Everything else is just nostalgia. And so Disney has destroyed, at least for the time being, unless until some savior comes along or someone with some better smarts financially comes along, they've destroyed the happiness that these things bring to people that I don't have to reach back for because I have something to look forward to. And that's probably the thing I hate the most about what not just Disney, but so many of these other conglomerates have done to the things that we grew up with and love.
Well, that's the funny part about it, Scribe, is that Star Wars actually had a chance at gaining some people back after the season 2 finale of Mando. And usually anytime you burn a bridge for something, when you destroy a franchise or anything in any medium, any chance of redemption, maybe you'll get some people back, but it'll never be what it once was. It seemed like they had a close, I don't want to say fully, but a close chance of gaining more than some goodwill after that season 2 finale. Regardless of how you feel about it, it's clear that there was a lot of people who were enthusiastic and people were willing to, I guess, forgive and move on. And then within a week, 2 weeks at best, they did everything in the playbook to let us know that they are absolutely still against us more than ever. And they crushed it. Any potential goodwill that they could have gained back, they absolutely destroyed and shattered. Which that's hard to gain back goodwill. It's a good thing that Star Wars was so big and massive and over generation spanning. I think that worked to its favor of having the potential of gaining goodwill back. But I feel like the damage now, I just feel like the only way for it to come back would have to be away for 10 years and then try something different. But in its current iteration, even if a great regime took over tomorrow, I feel like the damage it's just too fresh. I think it's just way too fresh, and it's on top. It's way too soon. We have been hammered away with show after show after show after show after show. I think people are not only just burnt out on Disney Star Wars, but they're burnt out. Period. People need a break, and it gives people a chance to miss things. And look at what and I don't care about Hollywood. They're 5 years is a long time in Hollywood. Shut the fuck up. It took 8 years between Batman and Robin and Batman Begins to happen. There's a nice 8-year gap, and guess what? When that happened, there was some interest there. And then Batman Begins did pretty good, and then look what happened. The Dark Knight happened, and the rest was history. They need to do something where they're actually away for a period of time and get people to miss this and reappreciate it.
I'm not even as hard on that as you are. Honestly, I think if they just, and I don't expect it to happen, but if they just turned around tomorrow and said, okay, all of this Disney timeline we created is now an Elseworld, and we're going to faithfully adapt the EU, pound for pound, do it correctly. I think the fans would, the fans, they're still fans, right? There will be good word of mouth about that. There will at least be intrigue about that. And the first project might not make $2 billion, but I think they could pick up on it. And as soon as they show that they're doing it correctly, I believe it would, you could wait 10 years, but you could also ramp it up with, prove it to me content as well, in my opinion.
All right. Well, let's get into a couple more of these super chats. We got Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank. He's been a member for 13 months. His Lego My Ego has whole new meaning now. If Tom or had to watch one of the two Alien, Romulus or Beetlejuice. Oh, I'm gonna go see Beetlejuice. I have more hope for that. I'm not sure if it's gonna be good or not, but
Are you going opening day, the Thursday?
yeah, Beetlejuice I will be. I'm gonna try.
Is the rest of the panel going?
Are we?
I am going to try. I want to.
What
It's
day
not
was
that
it come out?
I can't. Or it's
September
not that I
5th,
want to.
I
I just gotta see
6th,
if
I
I'm in a
think.
situation where I can.
Oh, the 6th.
I had to
Well,
pull-
I maybe I'll take my sister. Yeah, she and I would probably want to go see that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the 6th is this Thursday.
I had to pull.
Nope,
I had to pull
it's
a
the
lot of
5th.
strings just to see Deadpool and Wolverine. So I
Oh.
gotta see if I can. Well, try to pull it off again for Beetlejuice. So we shall see. Because I am actually interested in seeing it. I do genuinely want to see it and hopefully come out loving it. I want to love. I'm giving my money for a movie in 2024 at the theater where the prices are overpriced. I don't want to hate this. I want to love the son.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to want to spend that type of money, and not just the money, but the time and the sacrifices I have to make in order to see it. Of course, I want to enjoy it.
My only Spidey sense about it is similar to what I had before I went to see the first and decidedly the second of the Ghostbusters sequel. It's like this is something that is key to my nostalgia, my childhood, and so on and so forth. And they have a really high bar to jump. And I appreciate the fact that at least the original people are involved with this, especially the director and everything, which is unlike the Ghostbusters deal. At the same time, the trailer makes me think I might have seen the best parts of it already, maybe. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm not like I have a whole lot of faith in Hollywood for resurrecting sequels, but we'll see.
Yeah, I will try to see that though. And then we got Michael Nemo sending in 5 and says Disney should have released Prey and Hellraiser in the theater. They were better than Romulus, in my opinion. All girl boss though, unlike Deadpool and Wolverine.
Hellraiser,
yeah,
garbage. Honestly,
I mean, I didn't hate the new Hellraiser, but
I've not watched Prey, but and once again, going off of normie opinions, people seem to enjoy Prey. I mean,
it does seem like it should have went to theaters. Yeah,
it did seem like it did okay, and even the Drinker and Mahler spoke moderately favorable on it, which I trust me when I say that was shocking to even hear that. So I was like, wow, interesting. So maybe they should have, because it seems like that was an opportunity where they could have done better than Predators and The Predator with Shane Black. I don't know how Shane Black went south with that one, but he did, man. He proved me wrong.
Woo! I think Script Doctor pointed out that it just goes to show you he had very little with the concept and the actual writing of the film, and all he really did was punch up jokes, which is basically what he did.
Yeah.
But Hellraiser, I don't know. I didn't see Prey, but I agree with these guys and what they've been saying and what I heard about it. And I think I even said it at the time. It made no sense that they were sending it straight to streaming. I don't get it. But Hellraiser, as much as I didn't hate the movie, that felt very cheap.
Yes. I mean, the main problem with Hellraiser, just as an aside, the main problem with the new Hellraiser for me wasn't the female Pinhead or anything, which I thought was just kind of cheap to begin with, because you can't really replace.
Well, and that's kind of the way the character is described in the book. So Andre and I were we were fine with that part. But
the lead protagonist was the most unlikable.
That was one of the issues. Yes,
it made it like I don't
I think Andre said you could smell her through the screen at one point.
yeah, she was gross. Oh man, her opening scenes or two are just like, I don't want to touch her. I'm gonna get like tetanus or something. Jeez.
And this is coming from the guy who loves the other Hellraiser. And there's some depraved, whatever word, shit in the other Hellraiser films,
but the heroes are supposed to be, bathed at least.
Yeah, no, like this Chicky Poo was like a hippy dippy something or other fucking heroin addict.
Yeah.
Like,
well, she was a go to the free clinic walking disaster.
I'm sure the Crow and his girlfriend smell about the same from the
like the kind of clinic that was outside the DNC.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah,
that's dark.
Mobile clinic outside the DNC. That's what she was. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Wow. And then we got Jace. Oh,
there was
go
a
ahead.
crime that actually happened right 5 minutes away from my place of employer, and I'm 5 minutes outside Chicago. There's a shooting that happened. I forgot to mention that.
Well, there's
today,
been
so-
nothing but crap going on there.
in
Like
Chirac,
it's been,
I know,
Oh,
but
I
I just
know.
thought it's very odd and timely because during the week of that whole thing, I'm like, wow, this stuff is even getting to right next to Chicago.
Yeah,
I
there
heard
was
there was only 10
euthanasia.
people arrested last night.
There's a
Really?
standoff with the cops right now taking place outside the DNC.
Of course
It's just
there
an
is.
aside. Yeah, of course there is.
I'm
Anyway,
not a
please,
fan of
Sam.
it.
no, like we're up against the clock here because I know we've got Toxic Tuesday coming up
Yes,
here in a
we
bit.
do.
But Jason Webster sends a $10 Australian super chat. Says those figures take into how many the box office was to production budgets for each film. Alien made 13 times its production budget, while Aliens made 8.3 times its production budget. Okay.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, if that's the
Wow.
metric they're using, then sure.
I see.
I
Then
think we
Tim
should
Hay-
start keeping track of butts and seats.
Right. Well, that's what Andre always says too. Count ticket sales, not actually
Yeah.
the amount. And then Tim Hayes has been a member for 34 months, but they don't want to do that. We want to know why? Because it would take forever for some of the, like, the only movies in the last like 20 years that would have even touched shit like Gone with the Wind and Jaws and Star Wars would have been like Star Wars, the first one that came out. Even stuff like Avatar, I think, would have a hard time because a lot of those ticket sales were like premium tickets.
Yeah.
Like 3D and shit. So like you'd have to take that into factor. I mean, again, like I remember because I remember going through by inflation the superhero films by gross. And yeah, the biggest films are still like the ones like Superman and Batman and stuff like that for the most part. Spider-Man, obviously, and all that kind of business. But like the newer films don't even come close. Like the only newer films that really pop up in that list are like the Avengers films and like the Dark Knight films. Right. And those, look how big those had to be for those to even get close. Right. So like basically like Spider-Man No Way Home is another one too, but that made almost $3 billion. Right. Like and that's today's money.
That's an impressive number, but like I'm just, I'm small town 6. I want to know how many. That's why I asked who on the panel is going. I want to know who of my friends are going. How many are going? I want to know the popular vote.
Right. By inflation, it would be probably not much more than went to see the original Batman. That's my point. Right. I mean, I'm sure there's a little variation there, but yeah, like that's what I know is like you go back through inflation wise, and I think you're right. Like ticket sales makes more sense, but I know you got to get running here, 6. How much time do you got left?
Oh, 15. I'm a woman. When I say a certain time, it doesn't.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure because we got a couple more stories we wanted to get through here. And I know you really wanted to talk about the Friday the 13th one, so let's do that one first. Because we got an update, because for those who don't remember, Robert Meyer Burnett popped in here a short while back when we were hearing about all the craziness going on behind the scenes over Friday the 13th prequel series that's being shown at Peacock, but I believe A24 is producing it, yes. So we had an excellent conversation. If you haven't heard that conversation, I do suggest you go back and check it out. I think we may have even clipped it out for the live archive channel. If we haven't, I think we did though. But on that note, check that out because we can't break all that down right now, but there's a lot going on there. They finally found somebody to take over the series, and that is Caleb Kane. So Caleb Kane is taking over the Crystal Lake series for A24 and Peacock. There's no plot details available for the series, but in the original 1980 film, so I think they are kind of reimagining the reimagining of the reimagining now. So his quote on this, though, is from the moment I watched Jason Voorhees squeeze a guy's eyeball out of his socket in glorious 3D at the tender age of 8 years old, I knew my creative path was someday destined to converge with the man behind the mask, said Kane. Nothing defined my childhood more than growing up in the golden age of slasher flick, and nothing's defined the genre more than Friday the 13th. I couldn't be more excited for the opportunity to contribute a chapter to this iconic franchise, particularly such fearless partners as Peacock and A24. Well, they sound like they don't know shit. But that's check out our conversation from before.
I hope he's a fan. I would hate to have somebody running the show who's not.
Well, who is
but,
Kane? Well, he's working currently on the It prequel series over on HBO Max. And he has writing credits for Warrior, Tokyo Vice, Fringe, and Black Sails. So this guy has like very little to no experience.
Yes.
Sounds like.
If you look on his IMDb page, yeah, he's been like writing and or producing sidewise to a whole bunch of different shows and things for a while.
They
but,
ditched
yeah.
Brian Fuller for this guy.
Exactly. Yeah, this is like Brian. I suppose Brian Fuller off of Wish.com or something. I don't know.
Well, this just keeps happening to Brian Fuller. I mean,
is he that difficult to work with? I think we asked.
I don't know.
I was actually on that talk where you had Robert Myers on.
He was fired for
creative
creative differences.
Yeah, creative differences.
Honestly,
so
I think it'll kind of lead into our conversation about Bo here in a little bit. I think it's more so as he doesn't bend to the whims.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, to kind of clarify and give the short version of what Robert told us was going on behind the scenes, and we kind of had that confirmed in somewhat in the story, is that A24, who hasn't worked on a lot of shows, thought this was going to be cheap and easy. And I think they're getting $80 million, I think it is, from Peacock to do the show. Well, they were under the impression that the show was going to be done for cheap and they were going to probably be able to pocket a bunch of money. And Brian is already spending money, and he was doing the show under the impression that he was going to have an $80 million budget to work with.
Right.
And when they saw the scripts, they're like, there's no way we can do this. Why is this costing so much? Yada, yada, yada. Well, this was kind of a similar situation that happened over on Star Trek Discovery. Les Moonves said, why is this costing so much? I thought that they did this Star Trek show on the cheap. He's like, well, yeah, you amortize the first season into the rest of the show, right? You still got to build the sets, make the costumes, design the makeups, all that kind of shit, right? So A24 is looking at this like, well, you should be able to just shoot this in a fucking forest somewhere. It's like,
yeah. This is like a Star Wars fan film, goddammit.
Yeah, and I guess also they had already gone ahead and the production had rented some facilities, and the company couldn't even tell where they were at. Like, they didn't even know, like, it was discombobulation. We went through this whole thing. Really, you should check out that conversation. It just goes to show, from what Robert had told us, coincided with what the article was saying and everything. It's kind of painted a picture of A24 not knowing its ass from a hole in the ground when it came to creating the show, and they really just wanted to pocket a bunch of this money. And they were starting to learn quickly they weren't going to be able to pocket as much of this money as they were hoping. And I think Script Doctor and some other people were talking about it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, they may have had the idea they were going to use this money for a few other shows that were going to make them money or whatever, or to put into the production of other shows. Who knows? But yeah, they had plans for this money that clearly wasn't going to be there. So this guy is going to probably do that for him. I know, Six, you had to run here soon, so I was going to give you the first crack at this. So what do you think about this guy taking over the Friday the 13th series? It looked like it had a lot of hope.
I know nothing about the guy. I don't even really care who the showrunner is, who's directing what, who's writing what. I am a huge Friday the 13th fan. Anything that they put out, I'm going to watch, unless it's, I mean, it would have to be Acolyte level in order for me to not even tune in. So this is I'm going to be excited for it. I'm going to be pumped up and popcorn ready to watch. I'm not so sure about what. I mean, it's supposed to delve into the dark origins of Camp Crystal Lake. So does that mean it's going to be nothing to do with Jason and his mother?
My understanding, I don't know what the show is going to be now. I know what it was going to be pretty much, and that was a show that was going to tell you the origins of his mother, Jason. It was not going to overtake the original series, though. The story was actually going to take place in between and around the films. So my understanding is we were going to jump through a bunch of years through the series, kind of like Hannibal in the Psycho series, Bates Motel, only it wasn't going to rewrite the history. It was going to stick with the history, just show us the things we never got to see before.
I thought it was going to be like, what was that TV show that they did that had absolutely nothing to do with the movie series?
Well, they did the Friday the 13th series a while back.
And it had nothing to do with.
Yeah, it was 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo is all.
Yeah, Yeah, I can't remember where I read it, but I was under the impression it was going to be centered around Crystal Lake rather than centered around anything to do with Jason.
Well, it
But
is.
I don't
gonna
have a source for that, so.
Right. No, but I see where that might have come from because yes, the town is like that was the thing is in Brian's version, the town was going to play a major role in the story. Because like my understanding, and again, this is just my understanding. I don't quote me on this, but basically, like I would figure like the first season or two would have been like young Mrs. Voorhees, probably getting pregnant, meeting Jason's father. The town is probably like a town that's kind of off, like Twin Peaks kind of thing, I'd imagine. You probably get more into
the only reason I gave that original show some kind of leeway, the one that Brian Fuller was working on, was because Robert Meyer Burnett spoke of it so highly because he was sort of in the know about it, and he really said such great things about it that I was willing to give it a chance. But this Brad Caleb Kane guy, I don't know who this guy is. And really, do we need another prequel of some? I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be okay if people like the franchise, but I never really needed to know more about Mrs. Voorhees.
Well,
especially
there was a little bit more to what I was going to say, but like, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
No. It's okay. I was just venting, but go on. You said you'd go.
Well, yeah. So she'll have Jason, and then we'll probably see because Jason's father is not Elias Voorhees, actually, as far as we know, depending on which version of the lore you go with. So depending on which lore you go with, it could be her father's kid or something like that. So like that's part of the reason why he's deformed or whatever as well, supposedly. So we'll get into all that. We'll probably find out more about Jason and what he is suffering from. Probably about the struggles of her raising Jason, dealing with Elias as this abusive husband. And then it'll jump to the things that happened at Crystal Lake, obviously the drowning of Jason, and then she did a few things in between the years of the first film and when Jason drowned that I'm sure that's where the first, second season are going to really hover around because she poisoned the lake. She went and attacked those kids the first night. Remember that they showed back from the 50s in the first film. And you know, so there's a lot of ground to play in there. And then when you jump ahead from there, I'm sure the next season after that was going to probably be about Jason seeing his mother decapitate. Like it'll jump ahead to Friday the 13th, the movie, and we'll probably see it from his point of view of like, well, we would have seen it from his point of view of his mother getting killed. He actually survived drowning, but he's like on the other side of the lake now and surviving on his own all these years, basically. And that's where we get the quote unquote adult version of Jason. And then it'll jump ahead from there to, you know, another event in between the films. And that was my understanding, is it was just going to fill in gaps in between the movies for a few seasons, basically, and kind of intertwine. And we were supposed to see Jason in different forms in that version. So I don't know now, like, yeah, 6, I have no idea. It could even become something more now, what you're saying, where they just play with the town, the idea of this town, and you know, Jason's kind of this mythic figure in the background or something. Who knows? Yeah,
all I know is that A24 has, and this is a quote, has elected to go a different way with the material. Well, that means that could mean literally anything.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. Like, I see where you're saying, like, I mean, and they could do something like that, right?
Yeah, but I'm here for it.
We'll have to see what they come up with. Like, again, I'm not as excited as I was before, unfortunately. So we'll have to see where this goes. On that note, did you have to leave us now, 6, or did you want to stick around for the final story?
No, but you keep saying that. So I think I'll just...
No. I don't want to catch you in between when you're like, I got to go. I got to fucking go now. Because we're going to do the Bo DeMayo story. So yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Well, Nick, did you want to chime in about Friday the 13th?
Anybody want to chime in about Friday?
I'm not a Friday the 13th knowledge guy, so I got nothing to add there.
Let's go to Bo, because Price has to leave.
And I can definitely come
in a few minutes. So let's talk about that.
We're gonna wrap this up soon, so let's get into Bo. I shouldn't have said it like
let's
that.
Get into I don't really want to get into that.
Okay, so let's get everybody up to speed here. This is a story that goes back to March, before the premiere of X-Men 97. Real quick, I'll try to take us through the history of this. Bo DeMayo was let go just before the show premiered, and they never really gave a reason. He has been kind of cryptic with things here and there, bopping up on X and some stuff. And then he kind of called out Disney for what happened. Was my understanding was June 3rd, he had posted something in celebration of Gay Pride Month that was a picture of him as Cyclops looking all gay. Disney used that as an excuse as a breach of their contract of him being let go, or their amicable separation, or whatever you want to call it. So they were going to strip him of all his, as much as they could of his name of second season and rewrite his work. Because at that point, we were all under the understanding they were going to still use his scripts, but a new showrunner was coming in to actually run the show. So then we found out that's not the case, and he's claiming that they're using that as an excuse, but he's saying there's a lot more to this. And then Disney dropped a bomb by saying that the reason he was let go was because of sexual misconduct. And it was really kind of vague at first, and then we got some slightly less vaguer accusations, right? I guess is vaguer a word?
It is now.
It is now. Sounds like a like something you'd call somebody.
Naughty.
You vaguer. So anyway, so he now firing back on these allegations with his lawyer. So, and he did kind of imply that there would be some possible legal actions taken on Disney. So here's what his lawyer has said, according to X-Men updates. My client never sent lewd videos and photos to his direct reports. That is a bold, it should be, face lie and defamatory. So hopefully they just misspelled that and his lawyer didn't.
Is this a direct quote from his lawyer?
I guess so. I guess according to this, and this continues, no one reported Bo to HR, received an inappropriate photo or video. That is simply untrue. As a proud gay black man, Disney knew exactly who he was and what he stood for. That's why they did not tell him to stop his OnlyFans page. They let him be himself, which allowed his creativity to thrive. Now that goes right along with what we've been hearing and saying from the start, is that they were like encouraging the fact that he was black and gay, push that, use that,
Right. Until he didn't, I guess, comply with the kind of
something.
narratives they were pushing, then suddenly he became useless to them.
Well, that's the speculation, right? So anyway,
That's
they
what I'm
let
thinking.
him be himself, and then when they objected to his free speech rights and not complying with illegal NDAs, certain person over there tried to replace him because he was becoming more successful than other creators. As Disney of separation agreement illegally silenced him, let me know. So anyway, don't print this crap. It's wrong and defamatory. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I think the sentence about no one who reported Bo to HR received an inappropriate photo, that's very specific. You're very specifically saying that no one who reported him received an inappropriate photo. So let's say I'm at work and one of my coworkers sends me an inappropriate photo, and then I go to management with it, and then management goes to HR. My manager didn't receive an inappropriate. I mean, that might be a little bit too deep into the semantics, but that sentence did jump out at me.
I mean,
I don't even care if he sent dick pics as long as they're consenting adults. And they have the right to say, please don't send more dick pics, and then he can not send more of them.
Okay, so what would you guys say? You're working in an animation studio, film, whatever, an office situation, whatever. And one of your coworkers, whether he's a supervisor or a subordinate, sends you a dick pic. Wouldn't you just kind of laugh?
Yeah, or I just set him aside and say,
like,
quit and quit sending me pics. But I mean, Paul does it to me all the time. So
Did he send somebody a dick pic, or they didn't like his OnlyFans? Because if they just didn't like his OnlyFans, then that's really dumb.
Well, Jeff Snyder said, and this is a quote from Jeff Snyder, if you were a guy who looked like they could be under 30 on that show, you have his nudes whether you wanted them or not. So to what Price just said, were other people sending around?
That's what I wonder
his
too.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. The way that this is worded is kind of weird, but they start off with, my client has never sent lewd videos and photos to his direct reports. Again, there's still room for interpretation there, but yeah.
Well, something that comes to mind, and I think we talked about this back in March when it was first sort of like mystery, what the hell was going on. I mean, this is a company that is owned by Disney. Is there a morals clause somewhere in someone's contract that this would trip, regardless of whether or not it's, morally acceptable, more so now than it might have been several years ago, by Disney standards, as having an OnlyFans and passing around photos to coworkers and such in and of itself? That might just be boilerplate, office harassment and creating a hostile work environment kind of deal either way, liability.
Well, and how well will this also work with whatever that's how that thing was they were using in the background and passing around shit that they got O'Keefe put out there? What the hell was the name of that direct message program they were using?
Oh, I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, not Meetup. WhatsApp?
Nah, was it WhatsApp? It was one of those kind of like that, but they had groups and they were sharing weird photos and shit there too.
Boomer, so.
No, but so I wonder if you ain't got a point their price that they're just complaining because all these not videos, but the pictures were out there, and who's to say he wasn't the one actually sharing them? To me, the worst bits, yes, the pictures and videos are bad enough, but the other thing to me that struck me was there was actual allegations that he had groped or physically done stuff to somebody. Well, I want to hear those accusations from that.
Yeah, that's a different
person.
level. I mean,
Yeah,
if
I mean,
coworkers
they
are
have
just
to
like
be
editing
clear.
his pictures and like memeing them, that's
They
one
have
thing.
to be clear on what he did wrong, and if they're not going to be clear, if he had an OnlyFans, they knew it, and they said. And I remember in his interview that he was saying that Kevin Feige brought him to his office and said that he wanted him to be the showrunner because he's a gay black man, and he wanted him to inject that experience into the show. I'm paraphrasing, but that was generally what he was being told. So if they saw his OnlyFans then and they knew everything about him, it kind of reminds me of the James Gunn situation. If they knew about it and he was hired and that wasn't an issue, then that's not an issue. Unless he sat around taking these pictures or other pictures and sending it to people on his team all day, that's a different issue.
There's one thing that kind of came off about that lawyer statement on both sides, even though I'm still willing to, give him the benefit of the doubt of the possibility of him being innocent, whether he is or not, we'll find out. But it was kind of weird that a lawyer put as a proud gay black man, because I just feel like that has nothing to do with his case. That just feels like it sounds very like non-lawyer speak to say that. Sounds like, honestly, I would expect maybe Bo to say that about himself. That would make more sense because he's not a lawyer. He's the guy who's trying to defend himself, and I get why he would say it, but it just seems really out of lawyer type language to say something like that.
I disagree to a point. I know what they're doing here. It's kind of like with Gina. They're running with the idea that he's being, because they're going to use the California laws or whatever you want to call it against them in the sense that he's a gay black man.
Uh-huh.
They're going to use that as, what's the word I'm looking for? As the platform for their argument that this is why he's being singled out or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he's been targeted. He's been targeted for his race,
Thank you. That's the word.
For his orientation. Yeah, it may be a sort of. I mean, it's kind of a hard. It would be a difficult hill to climb since yes, if he was hired because of these elements.
Well, it's kind of hinted in that, right? Like that's what I was just going to say.
Well, I know, yeah. But the thing is that if those were benefits to his being hired, it's difficult for them to then argue that he was being discriminated against because of those same elements. If they didn't know about his OnlyFans before they hired him, well, that falls on their lack of due diligence before the hire. So I don't know if they then come back after the fact. Yeah,
I think they're going to argue that they hired him, or when they hired him, those were attributes they wanted. But when they were firing him, they were using them against him. That's what I think his lawyer's going to argue.
But his OnlyFans was supposedly not
graphic,
but
Price has to
go.
Yeah, go ahead, Price. And I know you got a show coming up tonight, right? Later.
The night out at 11:45 p.m. But I'm just late for a dinner and I have to go. But thank you so much for having me as usual.
No problem. Thanks
and,
for
I'll see you guys soon.
Bye, Price.
See you later,
man. Take care, brother. But anyway, you're saying 6.
Yeah, when I first found those pictures of Bo DeMayo, they were not from. I don't have an OnlyFans. I don't have access to it. I don't have an account. I don't follow anybody
yet.
I found those pictures, and I'm hesitant about how I'm going to say this because I don't have the screenshots because I found the pictures on Twitter, and I was linked to that from another website that I found. The pictures that were posted on Twitter were the nudes. And they were posted by a woman who works. She was some industry person. I don't follow her. I didn't follow her at the time, but I got the pictures from her account on Twitter. I sent them to Tom, And then I went back sometime after that to make screenshots of everything, and they were gone. So within a half an hour or an hour of me sending the pictures to Tom, because you guys were live on Midnight's Edge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And by the time I got back to that Twitter account, they
I'm
were
glad
gone.
you did.
And I didn't remember her name. I only captured the pictures. I didn't capture the screenshot.
I was going to say,
of
I'm
the
glad
woman
you
who
did
posted
grab
it.
the pictures, because otherwise we wouldn't have had them. I think we're one of the only people who has them, to be honest.
Yeah. So I don't, but if she got them from OnlyFans, I don't know. All I
Yeah,
know
we
is
don't
that she
know.
was some type of industry person. I don't remember. I have no memory whatsoever of whom she worked for, what she did, nothing. All I know, it was a female's account, and that's where the pictures came from. I've never been on an OnlyFans.com.
Neither have I.
site.
So and honestly, I haven't. I would tell you guys if I have, because I don't even know how. Because I'm assuming you don't subscribe to OnlyFans itself. You just subscribe to individual.
I have no
OnlyFans,
idea.
right?
I
That's
really
my
don't.
guess. If somebody wants there, I mean, if somebody has that
sure
ability
somebody
to
in
check
chat
it out,
knows.
but yeah,
You're welcome to find out.
yeah, I have no idea. But so like we're just going under that assumption for now. But we'll have to see. Here's the thing: is if this goes to court, this is like the Gina situation. There's going to be discovery. There's going to be emails and other things that are going to come up if it goes that far, so on, etc. This is just the start of this. I think it's going to be interesting. We do have one quick breaking story though before we go. This kind of goes along with something I've been reporting on now for a while, and it was kind of ahead of the curve on. But this is an interesting wrinkle now, if this is true. A new report is that Spider-Verse creators Lord and Miller are likely out at Sony TV. And they're unlikely to renew their deal. Yeah.
So what does that have to do? Is Sony? I'm assuming Sony TV is a different entity than who they're working with for the Spider-Verse movies.
But like they bring up here that Sony's luck with the Spider-Verse Spider-Man spin-off projects have been spotty, the Venom films, and da. I think this has to do with they're shutting down a bunch of the Spider-Verse stuff. I think Spider-Verse 3 is going to happen, but like Silk Spider Society might not happen. Sounds like
they canceled that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that actually was canceled already.
What about the Nick Cage deal at on Prime? Did they say anything about that? Nick Cage reprised the role. Yep. Somebody needs to edit that.
Yeah, so that's still happening.
Okay.
But yeah, it makes me wonder what's going on over there. So we'll find out some more about this. I have a feeling Andre may do something on this. I don't know. I just sent it to him and I said, "How are we doing on those emails?" The leaks. Because I have a feeling there might be some more to this. And I think that's where this recent report about Spider-Man, if they use certain villains, they can't use them in the MCU films. Well, that's something we reported way back when.
Right.
The initial deals were going down, and that's the reason why we told everybody they didn't have Mary Jane, they had MJ, right? And they had alternate versions of all these characters.
Yeah, because Sony's holding in reserve all of the genuine versions of the classic characters for their own purposes in their movies, and only letting Marvel use variants, let's say, or derivatives thereof,
aside
so
from
they can,
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, except for Peter Parker himself.
6 had to run.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And I got to split here in a couple minutes too.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up here because I know Nick and I are got to go talk some business.
Yeah.
One of my favorite.
I fucking knew it. Oh.
Yeah.
That's why this chapter's called Dee Dee Domergue's Got a Secret.
Yeah.
So yes, we're gonna watch some Hateful Eight, but yeah, go ahead and give your final thoughts on this for now, and then
I'm curious to see where this Bo DeMayo saga goes. I hope it gets more entertaining. We're off to a good start, and I just hope for the truth to come out of it, regardless of which side is right. I just want to know. I just want to know the truth.
Yeah, because the other side of this is if they were covering it up all this time, then goes like, well, why are you covering it up? Is it just because he was a black gay man?
Yeah, but
I don't think that's the case. Otherwise, I don't think Bo would be coming out this hard at this.
No, and he is coming out swinging. So it seems like and the fact that he's using the words absolutely untrue from his lawyer, it is pretty like, okay, they're not talking around it. They're not like, using specific words to maybe say, well, maybe I'm not like guilty. He's straight up saying word for word, this stuff is flat out untrue. So I'm like, okay, hey, let's see where this goes. So once again, I just want the truth to come out of all this spiel. Hopefully it gets entertained though, because we need good entertainment right now, even if it's not in movies and shows.
Well,
that said, yes, Toxic Tuesday is in a few minutes.
We're going to talk about some good entertainment.
We're going to talk about The Hateful Eight, and I am going to be approaching this movie from a very first time normie perspective. And Tom will be bringing the veteranship and experience of the extended cut with him. And of course, you'll have all our other dudes for a homoerotically great experience. So I hope to see you all in a few minutes. I'm going to pull out, Tom. So
tell me, Senor Bob. All right, take care.
I'll see you guys. See you.
When did you start working here? 6 months ago. Yeah, that's what I figured. See, because if you was here a couple years back, you didn't know there was a sign over the bar there. It said, "No dogs or Mexicans allowed." Now, do you know why she took that sign down, Bob? She's starting allowing dogs in here. Now I'm calling you a liar, Senor Bob. Oh, I love that bit. Sorry, I know some people hate that movie. Some people are indifferent. I fucking love Hateful Eight. It's one of those movies that is just pure actors going at it. You know what I mean? Just chewing the scenery. So I love it. But anyway, CC, what you got coming up? Are we going to do some karaoke sometime soon, or are you still in the Starlink territory where it's not so good?
Well, Starlink's kind of shit. I mean, I'll unless you have a completely clear sky, it doesn't work, which is disappointing.
Strange.
I'm disappointed in Elon on this. I mean,
is it because you're so far north? Maybe you're not getting a real.
No, it's not even that. It's like literally, if there's anything obstructing you, like between the satellite dish and open sky, it just doesn't work. And that's kind of like, okay, like if you're living in your house and you put it on your roof and you have an open sky, great. But if you're in an RV and you're driving around, most of the time you're in the forest. It's like, you know, you might have a little bit of sky, but you don't have like completely open sky. So that's been disappointing. It doesn't really work. I'm still mainly on cell, and I got cell enough to be on the show here, but for karaoke,
not gonna work.
So probably not this week. No, but we'll get back to it for sure.
We'll have to figure something out, or maybe we'll fill in for you this week or something, because I think people have been hankering for it. We'll see.
I've been
We'll see.
getting a lot of requests. Yeah.
But Scribbles, I know you got to leave soon, but what you got coming up?
Thursdays, I got my show called TED Excellence at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we take a look at off-brand or otherwise TED Talks with TEDx Bingo to learn something and have some laughs and have some good intellectual debates. And I also have my series called Living on Borrowed Crime, where I talk to true crime content creators on YouTube, interviews, and panel discussions. So check those out when you have the chance. And thanks for having me on, Tom.
Interesting and excellent. Glad to always have you here. And maybe I should check on some of those. I watch a lot of those cop videos and true crime things and all that stuff. Body cam footage. I know I'm a dork.
Cool.
I think it's because I miss cops.
I think there's a show called PD Live now that my dad loves. He loved Cops too. We always watch Cops.
Well,
like
Cops is actually still going, I think, on YouTube or something like that. But yeah, like they actually post new episodes.
Yeah.
It's just not as good because basically the body cam videos just knock the cops crap out of the park for the most part.
most times
yeah.
now, yeah. Yeah, you're right there. You're right seeing the cops. I saw one today where like this guy was trying to get away from the cop. He's a Florida man. He gets out of the car. The cop's like, "Put down your phone, get down on the ground, put down your phone, get on the ground." The guy's like, "No way, I gotta film myself." He's like taking a selfie or something. The cop tases him and he like freezes up right there like a statue. And they're like, and he falls to the ground. He's going like, "I have a heart condition. I'm mentally ill. I have a heart condition. I'm mentally ill." It's the most hilarious thing I saw. It's one of the.
It's like Reno 911 in real life.
It really is. It really is.
It's like
yeah, and most body cam stuff these days shows something like terrible happening, like a shooting or whatever else. This one was just pure comedy gold.
Oh, I love the fun ones. Yeah, especially when they're
I'll get you a link. It's like it's like 3 minutes long. It's great.
Oh, those are even better when they're not too long. But especially instant karma ones where they're like, "Fuck the cops," and blah blah blah, and they start taking swings, and they're like, "Why are you being so hard with me? Why are you aggressive with me?" You know, it's like, I didn't do no this. Like, motherfucker, you were swinging at them just 2 seconds ago. Like, yeah. Anyway, those are always fun. Anyhow, I'm gonna slide out here too because we're gonna head on over to Nick Weiser's and talk some Hateful Eight. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on the panel, and Six, of course, as always, for her extra help. and being on the panel tonight. Oh, last minute super chat from Robert says, to get world peace, all we need is pizza and boobies. You know, this is true.
Right.
Very true. Pizza sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right, Sadie? All right, kids, take care of yourselves and each other. And we will see you very soon.
Correctamundo.
Bye. I know.